What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, and we're going to be showing off my personal teams in this treasure map versus Ulti. Do want to say though that we got extremely lucky on the 5 million point red ticket, and I know over the past few months I haven't really shown and recorded, my own tickets that I get from treasure map, just typically because they're pretty bad, but this one was kind of crazy and a little bit of an anomaly, and we were lucky enough to pull one of the brand new legend Frankie, so we're going to be showcasing him in this treasure map video. So my teams have slightly altered from the ones that I showed in my video talking about my own personal teams, so hopefully you guys have seen that and kind of understand those teams, and I really hope that by this point all of you guys out there have been able to create your own personal teams for this treasure map versus Ulti. So of course, luckily enough to pull Frankie, we're going to be using him because he's a relatively high point booster in this treasure map, and also we did get relatively lucky pulling Usopp and also Otama, so having those two characters and then a friend captain Nami, having access to all of the boosters on the team obviously is going to be a lot easier for team building. First boss we're talking about is Ulti, and I mean, I think a lot of people, including myself, really forgot the fact that the order of operations and the way that this fight works, because remember, you get despaired first, so if you have any HP boosting captains, you lose a lot of your health, and then you get given the 80% health cut, which is pretty brutal because it means that the health loss is more substantial than what we initially thought. Because if you have like a 1.5 boosting HP captain, you lose all of that HP, and then whatever HP you had left is then cut by 80%. So, depending on your team composition, you may need to rethink the strategy in terms of how you actually survive Battle 3, because when you reach Battle 3, the preemptive attack does a 30,000 damage hit to you, which with this team, we actually healed with a recovery slot on the previous turn. Having Odin on the team is also really good because he gives us a 10,000 heal on the stage prior, so we are able to tank the hit. But I know a lot of people are struggling out there because there are a lot of different debuffs that you have to take into consideration, and I think a lot of people are just going to opt to use Frankie or Brook as the friend captain just because it makes it a lot easier for building a team in order to get through this actual fight. Speaking very briefly about this run, I am on a secret map, and I actually did luckily enough get a hunger tablet this time around too, so do keep that in mind that you can get hunger tablets from the rainbow chests this time around. So if you are on a secret map, I probably would advise to go ahead and take those routes, get some more tablets, but also get some more treasure map tickets which you can exchange for other tablets or limit break materials depending on what you want for your characters. The secondary boss here is versus Apu, and no real main changes here. We're still using the double Luffy. Remember that these Sai Straw Hat characters did receive a limit break expansion with this latest treasure map, so you can go ahead and do that and give Luffy a buffed captain effect. Also, I believe Robin gets cooldown reduction or something at the start of the fight because of her third potential ability, and Robin is a character that you can actually farm up on Extra Island. You can farm up the Zoro, the Sanji, the Brook, and the Robin, and those four characters are pretty good. Hopefully the rest of the Straw Hat characters are available at some point so that we can go ahead and get those characters rainbowed out. But a pretty easy fight. We're using Perospero with the support of the Sweet Commanders, and then Robin to remove the block slots and the attack down. And for damage, we're using the Luffy and the Sanji special for an attack and an orb boost. And I mean, realistically, we can switch out the Ashura Doji for a color affinity boost if we need it, but at this point in time, pretty easy to take down this Apu fight. Now, the next boss that we're going to be covering is actually the Hawkins fight. Typically, Hawkins isn't the boss I would be facing next, but considering this is just the secret map, we're going to be taking him on, and I'm not really a big fan of this team. Out of all the teams in this video, this is the one I hate using the most, just because it's not real fast at all, and we really have to use pretty much every special on the final boss stage in order for it to be a relatively effective team. It's not the most fun team to use, but it does have a lot of points considering both Izo and Okiku are high boosters, Kawamatsu's a high booster, Raizo's a high booster, as well as Sasaki is a high booster. So in terms of points, this is pretty effective, but not in terms of speed composition, unfortunately. And we are using an older treasure map rare recruit in Peckham's because he's like one of the only characters in this treasure map that is boosted that actually removes 5 turns of Rainbow Shield. Unfortunately, I have not pulled the rare recruit Sanji from the Frankie and Brook batch, which is a character I would definitely prefer to use, but either way, we have to resort to stuff like this if we want to get the job done. It's fine, but definitely not the most effective team out there in terms of overall speed. I'll also be having a video coming up soon with Izo no Kiku, giving my full thoughts and opinions on them now that I actually have pulled them recently, so I can give my thoughts and opinions in random piece of content, so definitely look forward to that. But as we move on to the Battle Rush bosses, the next boss to take on is going to be Sparrow, and the team that we have here is going to be a cerebral based team with Crocodile, and Crocodile is not a character I've had the joy of using that often. He is a good character on paper, but personally just haven't found too many situations where I wanted to use Crocodile, but he is so good. He is so strong, and the really good thing about Crocodile that a lot of people forget is the fact that he has a lot of good support characters, and the one that we're using on him this time around is going to be the Mr. 1 and Ms. Double Figure support, so that when we use the special ability of Crocodile, we actually get a huge chain boost. And you see, after 2 taps, our chain multiplier is incredibly high. It's so stupid. We're also using Pedro on stage 2 to wave clear that stage, make it a lot easier when we move on to the final stage, and we're going to be using that Hawkins special to get rid of that slot bind. Does end of turn damage, which is great, but of course Crocodile with his super type changes block slots into matching, and then his special ability gives us the chain boundary and the attack boost, and it's just absolutely GG, and I don't think this team is going to be changing for a long time. After only 2 taps, piercing through that barrier is enough to get the dub, which is pretty crazy to think about. But in summary, as long as you have the Arena Hawkins and then any type of unit to get rid of block slots, this fight against the Hawkins boss should be pretty straightforward. The next boss is versus Olin, which typically, the final Battle Rush boss is the most difficult, but considering all of the free-to-play, strength, and driven-focused characters that we have basically received over the past couple of months, it's actually pretty straightforward once again. We are using the Ulti from this treasure map as kind of a wave clear mechanic, as she's based on overkill damage, so we just 2-tap the 2 turtles here, then we can use the Ulti special on the following stage to just absolutely wipe the floor with it. So not only does it have somewhat a bit of a speed increase, makes it a bit of a faster team, but Ulti is a boosted unit in this treasure map as well, which kind of helps out a lot. And we're using the Doflamingo from Pirate Rumble. Doesn't really provide much, but he helps us get around a lot of the stuff. And then the Oniwabanchu support on the Orochi character is pretty important because it gets rid of an additional turn of a lot of the debuffs here. And then using the special ability of Kanjuro, the Kaido, as well as the Orochi character, we can have all of the boosts that we could possibly need, and the amount of damage that we do is pretty crazy. Now, I believe we did have a striker attack buff this time around, so normally your damage wouldn't be this high, but we get to pretty crazy damages, and this team will not need to change throughout the entire duration of this treasure map. But then once that all is said and done, we can now move on to the final boss, which is versus Kaido and the lead performers. Once again, we're going to be featuring Frankie as our friend captain, Nami as the friend captain, Otama and Usopp make an appearance once again. We've got Kuzuki Odin because he's a relatively high point booster, and then that last slot was just, again, another point booster slot, because with Frankie and the 3 boosters, that gets around all of the different debuffs that you would possibly encounter in the final boss stage versus Kaido and the lead performers, though you do have to be very careful in terms of how you actually get through this content, because remember, you only remove the attack down via the captain ability of Frankie when he's in the Psy variation. Realistically, I should probably switch into the Dex form here and like start as Dex, switch into the Psy variation on the King fight, so that when we get to the final stage, we can remove all the debuffs and then switch it back into Dex for a color affinity boost, or just keep Odin for that color affinity boost. This is a pretty effective team, and again, one that I'm not really going to change unless if I somehow pull Brook or something, or some other crazy booster along the way, but I'm not going to be doing any more pulls. But you never know, maybe those tickets come out pretty clutch. But that's pretty much my my full team setup for this upcoming treasure map, or this current treasure map versus the Ulti fight. Really looking forward to the next wave of content coming out, especially that Kizuna clash, because that Legend Drake looks awesome, and I really hope that we get lucky enough to actually pull that character. And obviously it's a type of character that everyone wants to get, but of course we're so close to the anniversary, I really advise a lot of you guys to probably skip that one. But anyways, I digress. We're done here. Thank you very much for watching the video today, and if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.